Rogers TV would like to respectfully acknowledge the land on which we gather is in tradition, and we acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of all the Mi'kmaq, Beothuk, Innu, and Inuit peoples of this province. Rogers TV also acknowledges the island of Uk'dammaguk as the unceded traditional territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq. We recognize all First Peoples who were here before us, those who live with us now, and the generations to come. As First Peoples have done since time immemorial, we strive to be responsible stewards of the land and to respect the cultures, ceremonies, and traditions of all who call it home. As we open our hearts and minds to the past, we commit ourselves to working in a spirit of truth and reconciliation to make a better future for all.
This is Rogers TV.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
You're watching Rogers TV.
Was that 4 or 5? He's lost count and still thinks he can drive. Do you think he knows that when he is caught and charged with impaired driving, he'll lose his license and a lot more? If he gets in his car, he'll face costs exceeding $20,000. Does he realize he could have a criminal record for his choice to drive? And it could be much worse if he crashes. Wonder what he'll be thinking tomorrow.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
In baseball, there's nothing more important than making it home.
George Springer has tied the game.
Doesn't matter how you get there.
It's gone!
But I do it with style.
Boy, has he got some kind of power.
And a little swagger, too.
Because no matter where you happen to be,
what a play!
There's only one place.
Got it!
Jays fans call home.
Sportsnet. Sportsnet.
Sportsnet.
Sportsnet, home of the Blue Jays. With clubs, leagues, and courts in every province and territory across Canada, squash is the sport for wall-to-wall fun, fitness, and friendship. From coast to coast to coast. Learn to play, and you'll want to do it every day. Squash. Play inside the box.
This is Rogers TV. You're watching Rogers TV.
Call the meeting to order. We'll start, of course, with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the lands on which we gather are situated on the unceded traditional territories of the Beothuk and Mi'kmaq nations. We also acknowledge Labrador as the traditional homelands of the Innu and Inuit. We strive to be responsible stewards of the land and commit ourselves to working in the spirit of truth and reconciliation. Therefore, the town of Gander has an inherent responsibility to foster healthier relationships with First Peoples and further the calls to action as outlined by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Welcome, everybody. We have no presentations here this evening. We do have a couple visitors in the gallery. It's nice to see. Nice to see interest in what we're doing. Maybe even interest in, maybe even more than a little interest in what we're doing, which is great. So welcome to those that are joining us in the gallery and to anybody watching us online. We move right into the approval of the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Woodford and seconded by Deputy Mayor Ford. All in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried. Now we have two sets of previous minutes, the minutes of the regular meeting of Council of July 9th, 2025. Moved by Councillor Pollitt, seconded by Councillor Hancock, the adoption of those minutes. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried. And we have a second set of minutes, a special meeting of July 28th, 2025.
Move for acceptance. Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Ford, seconded by Councillor Pollitt. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried. Okay, moving right along, do we have any business arising from the previous minutes other than what's in the agenda? No. So we'll move right into our standing council business. First section being correspondence and action plans. Councillor Hancock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our first item, National Forest Week. The committee reviewed correspondence from the National Institute of Forestry, inviting the town to participate in the National Forest Week scheduled for September 21st to the 27th, 2025. This annual campaign encourages Canadians to explore the cultural, historic, and economic and environmental significance of forests. The 2025 theme, Roots of Resilience from Seed to Canopy, highlights sustainable forest management, innovation, and efforts to address climate-related challenges such as wildfires, pests, and species at risk. In light of recent wildfire activity within the province, the committee recognized the importance of promoting forest stewardship and raising awareness of measures that contribute to community resilience and environmental sustainability, and will support this initiative by promoting National Forest Week through its communications channels. Next item, Newcomer Volunteer Engagement Involve program. The committee was advised of outreach from Involve, a program led by the Community Sector Council Newfoundland and Labrador, CSCNL, that supports newcomers through meaningful volunteer opportunities designed to foster community engagement and confidence. Involve is developing tools and strategies to enhance inclusivity and accessibility in volunteer experiences across the nonprofit sector and has expressed interest in collaborating with the town. They have also offered to help promote current, future volunteer opportunities sustainable for newcomers. A brief introductory meeting is being arranged to explore potential partnership opportunities that support newcomer engagement in the community. And I'm going to ask the Deputy Mayor, but I don't want to get this wrong. Involve, N-V-O-L-V-E, is an acronym. Can you tell the audience exactly what that one is?
It has to do with newcomer volunteering and opportunities for learning, and I can't remember the exact acronym, but it's a very clever acronym that has to do with newcomers and learning and engaging in the community.
Sorry to put you on the spot there, Deputy
You totally
Mayor.
did, but I should know. Yeah, I should. Yeah, the E, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I'll come back to you. We'll circle back.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
Next.
It says right on it. No, what the NVOLVE stands for. It's an acronym. Okay, let's not draw too much attention to me not knowing this, please.
Moving right along.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item, commemorative crosswalk for veterans. The committee reviewed a public request to paint the crosswalk on Lindbergh Road near Heritage Memorial Park in red and white as a meaningful tribute to those who have served. The committee expressed strong support for this initiative with the goal of having the work completed in time for Remembrance Day 2025 and will engage the local Legion to ensure the project honors veterans appropriately. And I move that the town of Gander proceed with painting the Lindbergh Road crosswalk near Gander Heritage Memorial Park in red and white as a tribute to those who have served, with a goal to be completed in advance of Remembrance Day 2025 and engage the local Legion to ensure the project honors veterans appropriately.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Hancock, second by Councillor Pollitt, that the town of Gander proceed with painting the Lindbergh Road crosswalk near Gander Heritage Memorial Park in red and white as a tribute to those who've served, with a goal to be completed in advance of Remembrance Day 2025, and engage the local Legion to ensure the project honors veterans appropriately.
Question, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
When we discussed this, it was red and white, but it also had a black logo in it. Is that still there, or, okay?
Yeah, I think that's for rather than describing intimate detail.
Right, okay, no, just want to make sure that that didn't change.
Yeah. Okay, any other
Yeah,
questions?
that's it, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Carried.
Municipal Assessment Agency. The committee reviewed correspondence from the Board of Directors at the Municipal Assessment Agency highlighting key updates from its June 6, 2025 meeting. The information was received for awareness. No action was required. And next item, Musgrave Harbour evacuation response. On Sunday, July 20th, the town of Gander was called upon to support evacuees from Musgrave Harbour due to a wildfire. In response, we quickly activated an emergency coordination role and began working through the Provincial Emergency Operations Centre, Canadian Red Cross, and the Salvation Army. The Steele Community Centre was established as the main hub for evacuee services, with the town providing logistical and operational support and sharing updates to keep both the public and evacuees informed. The response from community organizations, volunteers, and local businesses was truly outstanding. Together, we offered food, shelter, essential services, and meaningful moments to comfort and connect during a difficult time. The evacuation order was lifted on Friday, July 25th, and we're relieved to know that Musgrave Harbour residents returned home safely. We wanted to sincerely thank the first responders, emergency partners, as well as those who worked tirelessly to manage the situation. The situation reinforced the importance of clear communication, community support, and a continued focus on fire safety. It also highlights the need for sustained regional coordination and investment in wildfire response and infrastructure. In that context, we are reminded of the importance of the planned Atlantic Wildfire Centre in Gander, a central hub for wildfire management in Atlantic Canada. This centre will build on Gander's existing role as the home to the Provincial Forest Protection Centre, Air Services, and the Water Bomber Fleet, as climate change drives more frequent and intense wildfire events, as we've seen more and more again in the past 2 days. The investment will be critical to enhancing our region's resilience. As we look ahead, the town of Gander remains committed to advancing preparedness, public safety, and regional collaboration in the face of evolving environmental challenges.
And Mr. Mayor, I'm ready to circle back.
Okay.
So involve stands for, we were all close. The N for newcomer, V for volunteering, O is opportunities, L is learning. So it's about newcomers gaining skills and knowledge, employability skills, and then V is value, benefits to both the newcomers and the community with increased volunteer pool. And then you were correct, the E is definitely for engagement, building deeper community connections.
Good.
Involve.
Now we know.
You're very welcome.
I apologize for putting you on the spot and kind of throwing you under the bus a little bit, but that was nice to hear what that all stood for.
It's going to be part of the test for the gallery after the meeting.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's the end of that section. I think, Councillor Hancock? Thank you. So we'll move on to internal operations. Councillor Hoff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, we reviewed the planning report. The committee reviewed the planning report for the period of June the 20th to July 15th, 2025. The report summarized departmental activity related to applications received, permits issued, and compliance monitoring, and included an update on newly created dwelling units. The committee acknowledged the steady development in activity and was pleased with the progress during this period. Next, Mr. Mayor, we reviewed the 2025 Spring Cleanup Report. The committee reviewed the summary of the 2025 annual curbside cleanup event held from May the 5th to the 16th. Overall program costs increased by $5,195 compared to the previous year. The primary cost driver was an increase in garbage truck rental fees. The awarded tender reflected a $2,750 per week increase, resulting in an overall rise of $5,500 for this service. Tipping fees also rose by $10 per ton for both mixed and sorted materials. However, the total tonnage collected decreased by 22 tons, offsetting the impact of the increases. Labor requirement for the event also rose slightly with an additional 8 hours logged to complete the work. The total cost of the 2025 spring cleanup was $81,265. The event brochure continued to serve as an effective communication tool and was widely distributed via the town's website and the social media platform to enhance public awareness of the spring cleanup. Internal operations update.
Councillor Huff, just if I may, in respect to that, I think it's fairly clear in the report. But I think it's important for people, citizens that may be, following this meeting, to understand what you said there in the second last paragraph, that the cost of that cleanup, the incremental cost of this cleanup, the spring cleanup, is $81,265, and that does not take into account the opportunity cost of the $32,000 in wages of people that were salaried, who were doing that while they might otherwise have been doing something else. So the incremental cost alone was $81,000. Plus, there's another $32,000 in wages that were dedicated to that weren't able to be painting lines, doing whatever during that period. So, I think it's important to remind citizens of that, because, there will be people saying, well, why aren't there 2? Why aren't there 4? Why don't we have one every month? That's why. It means you add that stuff up, you're looking at between the direct and the indirect costs of doing these. They're well in excess of $100,000 a pop. So that's why we can't do a spring and a fall one and so on, right? It's important for people to understand that and to understand it in terms of real numbers, right?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor. It is the cleanups. If there were more than 2, we would be 3 or 4 times the cost that we incurred, at least. So it doesn't come without major costs being incurred by the municipality, and these are costs over and above, of course, what the normal fees that the town pays for garbage collection by MMSB. So. Next, Mr. Mayor, we dealt with internal operations update. The committee received updates on a variety of operational matters, highlighting ongoing maintenance, infrastructure enhancements, accessibility improvements, and new signage initiatives. Several projects are advancing on schedule and within budget, and seasonal programs are progressing ahead of anticipated timelines.
Okay, so I think that's the end of that section, is it not? Okay, thank you, Councillor Hoff.
Thank you.
Next up is Regulatory Affairs and Policy, Deputy Mayor Ford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first item, taxation of vacant land. The committee reviewed a request to reconsider 2025 tax charges applied to 2 vacant lots, each invoiced $1,332.83, including $550 for water and sewer fees. The request was evaluated in the context of Section 131 of the Towns and Local Service Districts Act and Council Motion Number 14-251, which confirmed that properties adjacent to municipal services are subject to taxation from the date of ownership, regardless of development status. The committee confirmed that the charges were correctly applied and align with existing municipal policy and legislative authority. Council also recommended that policy F019 be updated to reflect these provisions. Mobile home taxation. The committee reviewed a request to reconsider the town's position on mobile homes as an affordable housing option. While modern units may meet building code standards and offer housing diversity, mobile homes remain restricted under current municipal regulations. And just for council's information, I wasn't quite clear on what that meant, like from our discussion that we had. So the CAO confirmed for me prior to the meeting that it's just the definition of mobile home. It's something that's mobile and not fixed. So that council agreed that any policy shift would require a detailed review of the zoning, the infrastructure, and community impact with consideration of the Assessment Act and the Towns and Local Service Districts Act. So there are no changes recommended at this time, but that's not to say that we won't revisit it. Sign regulations. The committee discussed the town's existing signage regulations, which set out requirements for the placement, size, type, and maintenance of signage within municipal boundaries. The discussion highlighted the importance of ensuring that signage supports orderly development, maintains aesthetic standards, and upholds public safety and visibility across commercial and residential zones. Council reached a consensus to suspend approval of new outside signage while the current policy is reviewed. And I suspect we'll be seeing a lot of temporary signage coming up in the next couple of months between a provincial election and a municipal election.
And Deputy Mayor, I think what this is referencing to is, I mean, it's not like a sign affixed to your building. You know, that might be outside, but it's not. We're talking about typically temporary signage or off-site or on public property and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's what will be suspended, you know.
Yeah, and just
obviously, if
that
you're building a
second
new
read there.
business and you're gonna put signage on it, you're not restricted from doing that.
Yeah, and just, I just looked and in the report, we don't say the word temporary signage there or off-site, and that's exactly what that refers to. Yeah. Okay, so, and we should clarify that, right? Thanks. Application 85 to 87 Elizabeth Drive Apartments. The committee reviewed an application to develop apartment units above an existing commercial building at 85 to 87 Elizabeth Drive within the town square. It was noted that apartments over permitted uses is a discretionary use in this zone and that public notice was issued with one written submission received regarding parking and garbage collection. The committee acknowledged that parking availability, particularly during winter months, and garbage collection logistics will require further planning. It was agreed that these matters can be addressed through an approved site plan prior to development proceeding. The committee recommends, and I move, that the application for apartment development at 85 to 87 Elizabeth Drive be approved as a discretionary use, subject to an approved parking and garbage collection site plan and all other development requirements outlined in the permit.
Second.
Oh, boy. I heard three voices at the same time.
Okay, I'll pull mine back.
Okay. So I think I heard Councillor Pollitt. So moved by Deputy Mayor Ford and second by Councillor Pollitt that the application for apartment development 85 to 87 Elizabeth Drive be approved as a discretionary use, subject to an approved parking and garbage collection site plan and all other development requirements outlined in the permit. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Carried.
All right, I'm going to excuse myself due to conflict of interest on this next one. We are pretty sure we're going to be the contractor for this development, so I'm going to excuse myself.
And it is indicated
Yeah.
excuse yourself from the discussion on this item.
Yeah. And if I may, I think too, Councillor White is in conflict on the item following it as well. So I guess we'll keep her outside for both of these.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yes, so Councillor White declared a conflict of interest and left the committee meeting at this point, Mr. Mayor. The committee reviewed an application for 70 Armstrong Boulevard seeking approval for an apartment building as a discretionary use, along with a 72-meter front building line exceeding the 20-meter setback established for the area. It was noted that the increased setback does not require a variance and may be approved by resolution. The proponent is proceeding with a 21-unit development, and no public objections were received following advertisement. The committee recommends approval of the discretionary use and setback. The committee recommends, and I move, that council approve the discretionary use for a 21-unit apartment building at 70 Armstrong Boulevard and approve the requested 72-meter front building line.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Ford and seconded by Councillor Hancock. The council approved the discretionary use for a 21-unit apartment building at 70 Armstrong Boulevard and approved the requested 72-meter front building line. Is there any discussion?
Just a question, Mr. Mayor. Is this building going to be end on to the road or parallel with Armstrong in the site plan? Do we know? He left.
No, he's in the room.
I think I can speak to it, but James may correct me. I think the current location is currently perpendicular to Armstrong, the way it's proposed right now, but those exact details of site plans will be subject to the building permit application and process.
Okay.
But James, that's
correct.
That's correct.
And that's where all these regulations will kick in.
Yeah, no, that's what I was just wondering if it's going to be end on to the road or parallel with the road and what it would look like there, so, okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Carried.
Thanks. And Mr. Mayor, this next item as well, Councillor White remained out of the meeting and does here now. 96 Memorial Drive and 13A McCurdy Drive subdivision. The committee reviewed an application to subdivide property located at 96 Memorial Drive. The application further requests the annexation of the rear subdivided portion of 96 Memorial Drive with adjacent land to be purchased from the town of Gander, forming a new amalgamated parcel. The lands in question are zoned residential low density and industrial general, respectively. The rear portion of 96 Memorial Drive was previously rezoned to industrial general during a municipal plan review in anticipation of future subdivision. Approval is contingent on the sale of the parcel 13A McCurdy Drive. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm moving that the town of Gander approve, in principle, the proposed subdivision and land amalgamation related to 96 Memorial Drive, conditional upon the approved sale of the parcel at 13A McCurdy Drive, and subject to compliance with all applicable municipal regulations and policies.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Ford, seconded by Councillor Hoff, that the town of Gander approve in principle the proposed subdivision and land amalgamation related to 96 Memorial Drive, conditional upon the approved sale of the parcel at 13A McCurdy Drive, and subject to compliance with all applicable municipal regulations and policies. Is there any question or any clarification required?
I think I got it all straight, but,
Mr. Mayor,
Maybe someone could just describe, well, because it's probably for some, we know, we've seen the application.
And the maps.
But anyone listening in might not understand what we're talking about.
I think if you proceed with the motion, there may be some additional information there, so if we just complete the motion and then
we'll just clarify a bit more. Okay, so that is the motion. If anybody have questions or not? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Carried.
So I guess the explanation of this is, the history of Memorial Drive, McCurdy Drive, is that many of the properties, which were 700-foot properties on Memorial Drive, over the years have been, the rear portion have been sold, and then the a small narrow strip of land that the town owned on McCurdy Drive was then amalgamated with that rear land to create commercial lots facing on the McCurdy Drive. So in this case, this is one of the few that hasn't been. So that is the transaction that's essentially being completed here, is that the owner of 96 Memorial Drive acquired that land. They're subdividing the rear 300 feet, so 400 feet, somewhere around there, and then are in the process of purchasing a small, reasonably orphaned piece of land fronting on McCurdy Drive to create a commercial lot. At a previous meeting, council agreed in principle to sell 13 McCurdy Drive at assessed value, to give the purchasers reasonable assurance at the time of acquiring 96 Memorial Drive that council would be prepared to do that. I guess that transaction's unfolding. Upon review of the minutes, I think the last meeting approved the sale in principle, but there was no motion attached. So I think it would probably be prudent right now for council to add a second motion to this one to say to agree to sell 13A McCurdy Drive in compliance with the Municipalities Act and at the appraised value. So we're having an independent appraisal completed to ensure that that land will be sold at market value. But that hasn't been finalized at this point.
And to sell that land, that has to go to tender? Or how do we sell that land?
No, so under the Municipalities Act, the Municipalities Act contemplates adjacency and things in these situations. So the portion of land on McCurdy Drive cannot be developed as a standalone piece of land.
Oh, okay.
So it can only be developed if it's amalgamated with the rear land on Memorial Drive. So we'll be using that provision under the Municipalities Act, but it will be at an independent appraisal to ensure that it's at market value.
Okay.
Okay, so we've voted on this motion, right?
Yep.
We did vote. So now we would need, I think what you're suggesting is we need a second motion, which would not be here in front of us right now. So I'm just thinking about getting some wording together. I don't know if you picked up on this as we went through.
So maybe we can defer that to the new business.
Okay.
And
we'll have a motion
I'll
there.
have a
Yeah.
motion prepared for that point at that
Yeah.
point.
And Mr. Mayor, one of the things, we did say it, but I just wanted to highlight again that the portion, the rear portion of 96 Memorial, we're not rezoning that here now. That had already previously been rezoned to industrial general. And I don't know how long ago that was done. It was,
4 years.
yeah, the municipal plan review, and so 4 years ago. Yeah. Okay.
So the only other question I would have then follow up is how much of that land was rezoned off of that 96 Memorial Drive lot was rezoned to industrial general? Is that a 400-foot? So I guess it would eventually become 13A McCurdy.
That's correct.
So the depth of that piece of land then, would that be like a 400-foot lot or a 200-foot?
Do you know off the top, it's
I don't know the exact amount, but I know that the zoning aligned with the existing properties on McCurdy Drive, so we
Oh,
just.
okay, that's, I didn't want it to be like a
No.
missing tooth again.
There's
that
an
we've been dealing with.
established boundary that applies to
Okay.
all.
There's
of
pretty
those
well
land.
straight line
Yeah.
right across it.
Yeah, okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just lastly, Mr. Mayor, I don't know if it's my place to do this or Councillor White, but councillors do have to declare what their conflict is. So she did that as she left for the first item, but for this particular item, she owns 96 Memorial Drive and will become the owner of 13A McCurdy Drive.
That's correct.
So that's the conflict in question. Yeah. Or not in question, that is the conflict.
Yeah.
That's what she declared, and that's why she
So she was
didn't
not part of any
participate.
discussion about whether we would or wouldn't
Yeah.
be willing to do this.
So at this point, Mr. Mayor, when we had our committee meeting, she returned to the committee
We
meeting.
gotta vote on it.
Oh, I thought we
already
no,
did.
we're coming
Did
back,
we vote on that?
and we're
Yeah.
coming back to new
We'll come back
business
to
for
the other
13A
Oh, okay.
McCurdy. Yeah, so that's the end of the report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, and so now we will have to send Councillor White on her way again when we get to the new business, or part of the new business now, that motion.
So you can come back in now?
Yes, we have to, because she's gonna read the next. Hope you're out getting all limbered up, because you have to read the next section.
What's that?
Hope you're out there getting all warmed up, because the next section is finance, and it is Councillor White who's gonna present that. Give you a moment to find it.
Okay, I'm ready. 2025 account write-offs. The committee reviewed the 2025 write-off list, which includes outstanding amounts deemed uncollectible following all reasonable collection efforts. The list was prepared in accordance with the town's standard financial procedures. The committee recommends, and I move, that the town of Gander write off $19,135.52 in outstanding accounts as attached. Second.
Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Pollitt. The town of Gander write off $19,135.52 in outstanding accounts as attached. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried.
The committee reviewed an unaudited financial statements to June 30th, 2025, noting a positive projected year-end position. A timing adjustment was made for revenue related to 59 Elizabeth Drive, and it was reported that capital spending is slightly over budget. The committee was satisfied with the town's mid-year financial position. Request for interest write-off. The committee reviewed a request to reverse $139.11 in interest, citing delayed billing, financial hardship, and lack of reminders. The property was purchased in 2024, and all billing and mailing followed standard procedures. No mail was returned, and the owner has since enrolled in a pre-authorized payment plan. The committee recommends that the request be denied and no administrative error occurred. Supply and delivery of one electric pickup truck half-ton. The results of requests for quote RFQ 25-18 for the supply and delivery of one electric full-size quad cab half-ton pickup truck is presented to council for consideration. 2 bids were received, with the recommended award going to the lowest qualified bidder. The proposed purchase is $21,361.27 under budget. This initiative supports the town's strategic focus on environmental sustainability and aligns with the Tomorrow's Town's vision of fostering innovation and responsible investment in municipal operations. The addition of an electric vehicle to the fleet is a measured step forward, demonstrating leadership in exploring practical ways to reduce environmental impact where feasible. The town will also explore opportunities to brand the vehicle in a way that promotes public awareness for its environmental initiatives. The committee recommends, and I move, that requests for quote RFQ 25-18 for the supply and delivery of one electric full-size quad cab half-ton pickup truck be awarded to Kelly Ford at a cost of $89,539.67 HST inclusive.
Second.
Moved by Councillor White and seconded by Councillor Woodford that the request for quote RFQ 25-18 for the supply and delivery of one electric full-size quad cab half-ton pickup truck be awarded to Kelly Ford at a cost of $89,539.67 HST inclusive.
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor.
What's that?
Does this include the infrastructure for charging its
No.
own building? No,
No.
it doesn't.
No, but obviously we're going to need to acquire that. I think I asked the same question previously, not in a meeting,
Like we did, but I couldn't remember.
yeah, it's obviously something that can be accommodated within our current capital, I think, right?
I think I mean, you can charge, you can just plug into a regular outlet for a slow charge, but we'd be interested in purchasing, in addition to that, the fast charge station as well.
I remember this conversation now.
Yeah, so we'll do that according to budget availability.
Yeah, Mr.
We'll be,
Mayor.
by the time we get it, we'll be able to charge it, let's put it that way. I think that's the intent, isn't it?
Mr. Mayor, I think it was almost 8 years ago, 7 years, 11 months and some change, that as a new council, we stood on the front steps of the town hall, and there was a comment made that we were gonna be moving in this direction. I think I've been asking for it. A lot of times I've asked for, to get this moving, and, I'm just, excited to see we're moving in this direction now. And, I think it's about time. That's, I think it's a great move.
Okay, so, any other comment or question? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried.
Next up was supply and delivery of a scoreboard for the soccer field. The committee reviewed the results of the quotation process for the supply and delivery of one multi-sport outdoor scoreboard for the town soccer field. The preferred bidder, the scoreboard man, all one word, submitted the lowest and only quote meeting specifications at a total cost of $63,625.59 HST inclusive. After applying the HST rebate, the net cost to the town is $55,326.60. The project was budgeted at $60,000, resulting in a variance of $4,673.40 under budget. The committee recommends, and I move, that the town of Gander award the contract for the supply and delivery of one multi-sport outdoor scoreboard to the scoreboard man in the amount of $63,625.59 HST inclusive.
It's moved by Councillor White and seconded by Councillor Pollitt that the town of Gander award the contract for the supply and delivery of one multi-sport outdoor scoreboard to scoreboard man in the amount of $63,625.59 HST inclusive. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
And I think I wanted to make it a little quick, and it's not really a discussion, it's just comment, that we're going ahead and we're buying our scoreboard from the scoreboard man, but we're also going to be looking for probably some corporate sponsorship and some corporate branding on this. So if anybody has any marketing or advertising budget left for the year, you can reach out.
Or they just like to spend some money and put their name
If
on
they
the
just
scoreboard.
want to spend some money, become very popular on our state-of-the-art facility.
Yes, I'm glad. That's what I was going to ask if someone wanted to comment on that, because
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to understand, yes, the taxpayers are picking up the tab for that signage like we do frequently for, municipal assets. But the intent is, council has discussed it in great detail, recouping that cost hopefully through either naming rights, corporate sponsorship, that sort of thing. And and we're taking some steps towards doing these things. But in the meantime, for expediency, we need the signage for having events there and so on. So signage will now be ordered.
Mr. Mayor, you had just a quick comment on that about, the benefits of having an electronic scoreboard like that. But I know in conversation with Special Olympics and about athletics, they were saying that a scoreboard like this means the difference in them not having to secure 20 volunteers in order to run a meet. So the value of that, volunteer effort, is humongous, right? And I got a kick out of the scoreboard man name as well. So just for interest, I Googled, and it's a Canadian company out of Ontario. So, yeah.
It's not an acronym, because if it was,
It's no.
Ooh.
Don't ask me what that acronym was for. No, definitely scoreboard man.
Yeah. Okay, so we voted on that, and we're good to go.
Okay, up next is procurement commodities. The committee reviewed the findings of the Public Procurement Agency's Audit and Compliance Division, which conducted a review of the town's procurement activities for the period of January 1st to December 31st, 2024. The purpose of the audit was to assess compliance with the public procurement framework and follow up on recommendations from a 2021 report. The agency selected a sample of 18 transactions, totaling approximately $980,000, from a total invoice listing of $3.5 million. The review identified several areas requiring improvement, including open call for bids. Several documents failed to include required statements regarding trade agreements, privacy legislation, and contract value disclosures. Lack of public openings. 3 publicly advertised quotes were not treated as open calls and public openings were not included. Incomplete documentation. Several procurement files lacked essential documentation such as bid deadlines, evaluation records, and public opening reports. Limited call for bids, 3 quotes. In some cases, fewer than 3 quotes were obtained without documentation justification. Reporting requirements. The audit could not confirm whether all applicable awards were reported in accordance with regulatory threshold. While improvements were noted, several recommendations from the 2021 report remain either outstanding or only partially addressed. In response, staff will develop a standard operating procedures for all purchasing exceeding $1,000 with explicit references to the public procurement regulations and policy. The review also identified the need to develop consistent procurement standards and guidelines. As a result, staff are currently evaluating internal processes and procedures to ensure ongoing compliance and improved transparency. That is the end of my report.
Thank you, Councillor White. And to that last point, I mean, it's important, audit procedures like this are important because they sort of motivate and facilitate continuous improvement, which is what we're all about. No process is perfect, no policy is perfect, and sometimes the implementation of good policy is not perfect. So it's good to have sort of objective analysis of all those things so that we can continue to improve, and that's what we're doing. All right, what do we got here?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to have a comment on that too.
Sure.
I echo your comments because if you have a policy that suggested that this should be part of the policy, that we go out for the quotes and so on. So I know that sometimes that from a practical viewpoint, it's not always possible to get the 3 quotes sensibly. But, there's always the thought, if you ignore the policy too much, how much nepotism creeps in. And I'm not suggesting that for a minute here, but it's of concern. Management will certainly should try and ensure that instead of the 18 transactions, 1 would be acceptable variance for a small amount of money.
Yeah.
And I think from management leadership side is that, I think there would, it's certainly not lost on us that, in a perfect world, there would be no exceptions or deviations. And, we as much as we welcome the outside review and input, we take the recommendations seriously, and we'll certainly undertake effort to make sure that the spirit of continuous improvement results in improved transactions and processes. So.
So I think that's the end of that section. Is it not? Yes. Okay, thank you, Councillor. Now we have Councillor Hoff, that was. Now we would have, sorry. Who did that section? Next up is strategy, growth, and investments. Councillor Woodford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Under the strategy growth investment section, the first item of business was a home-based business application. The committee reviewed multiple applications to operate home-based businesses in accordance with the town's development regulations. Each proposed business met the criteria for discretionary use and completed the required public notification process. No objections were received. The first application was received from a residence at 9 Grandy Avenue to operate a home office for a mobile auto cleaning and detailing service, with all customer interactions occurring off-site. The second application was received from a resident at 129 Bennett Drive to operate a home office for a shuttle service between Gander and St. John's, with no passenger pickup or drop-off on site. The committee recommends, and I move, that the town of Gander approve the application to operate a home office for a mobile auto cleaning and detailing service at 9 Grandy Avenue, subject to all conditions outlined in the permit. And that the, separate those?
That's a separate motion. So
Okay, we'll separate them, okay.
Someone second that.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Woodford and seconded by Deputy Mayor Ford, that the town of Gander approve the application to operate a home office for a mobile auto cleaning and detailing service at 9 Grandy Avenue, subject to all conditions outlined in the permit. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried. Now you can go with your second motion.
And the second one is that the town of Gander approve the application for a home-based office at 129 Bennett Drive to support administrative operations of a shuttle service between Gander and St. John's, with no passenger pickup or drop-off occurring on-site and subject to all conditions outlined in the permit.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Woodford and seconded by Deputy Mayor Ford, that the town of Gander approve the application for a home-based office at 129 Bennett Drive to support administrative operations of a shuttle service between Gander and St. John's, with no passenger pickup or drop-off occurring on site and subject to all conditions outlined in the permit. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried.
Next item of business was sole source template for consulting services. The committee reviewed a sole source justification for the engagement of Re/Fact Consulting to support Phase 3 of the Housing Accelerator Fund. The consultant will provide program administration, milestone reporting, and develop an affordable housing incentives program, building on their work in phases 1 and 2. The proposed contract is valued at $30,000 plus HST, with disbursements billed at cost. I move that the town of Gander approve the sole source engagement of Re/Fact Consulting in the amount of $30,000 plus HST, with services delivered in accordance with the existing agreement with Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Woodford and seconded by Deputy Mayor Ford, that the town of Gander approve the sole source engagement of Re/Fact Consulting in the amount of $30,000 plus HST, with services delivered in accordance with the existing agreement with Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation.
So, Mr. Mayor, can we have just a little more information on the justification for sole source on this one?
So this particular consultant has been with us from the beginning of the program. I guess there's a little bit of debate whether they're working as a contracted employee or a contracted consultant. So in the absence of that, we feel that they have been they helped us write the application. They've been continuously monitoring the contract with CMHC, and their continuity and knowledge program is the justification for sole source. I'd rather have somebody come in and understand the program and it's and start from the beginning. So
I asked that because we probably would get a question on it.
Sure.
Why did we sole source that one, right?
Yeah. And I think we should also point out too that, because a lot of people have heard of us receiving the in total $4.3 million in Housing Accelerator Fund funding, and for various purposes. So the funding that once assuming this is approved, the funding would come from that Housing Accelerator Fund funding. It's not from our tax base. It's an accepted expenditure under the federal money we're receiving to deal with housing, right?
So it's under their federal taxes.
So yeah, it's part of the federal funding. Okay, did we vote? No. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a great segue into the Housing Accelerator Fund initiative in incentive approvals. 3 applications were submitted under the town's Housing Accelerator Fund incentive program are presented for approval. The program provides financial incentives to support the development of new residential units that meet specified eligibility criteria, including affordability, energy efficiency, and design standards. Each application meets the requirements of the program guidelines. The first application is for the construction of a secondary suite at 206 Bannock Street, with a Housing Accelerator Fund commitment of up to $12,673.75. I move that the town of Gander, that up to $12,673.75 in Housing Accelerator Fund funding be allocated to the applicant for the proposed secondary suite at 206 Bannock Street, contingent upon the applicant's continued compliance with all eligibility requirements under the town of Gander's Housing Incentive Program.
Moved by Councillor Woodford and seconded by Councillor Hancock, that up to $12,673.75 in Housing Accelerator Fund funding be allocated to the applicant for the proposed secondary suite at 206 Bannock Street, contingent upon the applicant's continued compliance with all eligibility requirements under the Town of Gander's Housing Incentive Program. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried.
The second application proposes the construction of 15 fully self-contained micro-unit apartments at 59 Elizabeth Drive, with a Housing Accelerator Fund commitment of up to $400,000. Therefore, I move that up to $400,000 in Housing Accelerator Fund funding be allocated to the applicant for the proposed development of 15 micro-unit apartments at 59 Elizabeth Drive, contingent upon the applicant's continued compliance with all eligibility requirements under the Town of Gander's Housing Incentive Program.
Moved by Councillor Woodford and seconded by Councillor White, that up to $400,000 in Housing Accelerator Fund funding be allocated to the applicant for the proposed development of 15 micro-unit apartments at 59 Elizabeth Drive, contingent upon the applicant's continued compliance with all eligibility requirements under the Town of Gander's Housing Incentive Program. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried.
And the third application is for the construction of a secondary suite at 585 Penwell Avenue with a Housing Accelerator Fund commitment of up to $23,337.50. The committee recommends, and I move, that up to $23,337.50 in Housing Accelerator Fund funding be allocated to the applicant for the proposed secondary suite at 585 Penwell Avenue, contingent upon the applicant's continued compliance with all eligibility requirements under the Town of Gander's Housing Incentive Program.
Moved by Councillor Woodford and seconded by Councillor Pollitt, that up to $23,337.50 in Housing Accelerator Fund funding be allocated to the applicant for the proposed secondary suite at 585 Penwell Avenue, contingent upon the applicant's continued compliance with all eligibility requirements under the Town of Gander's Housing Incentive Program. And I think the CAO wanted to comment on that.
The secondary suite should actually say 2-unit dwelling. So if we could, with the acceptance of the mover and seconder, to make that amendment.
I'd like to make that amendment to a,
So rather than saying proposed secondary suite, we would say proposed two-unit dwelling at 585.
and I just,
So that's good with the mover and seconder?
Well, no, sir, I questioned Mr. Mayor before we booked 585 Penwell. Are there 585 houses?
I think that's, check.
Yeah, to me, and I know that we joke sometimes about my inability to judge
lot 585?
the number of streets and pavement.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
I think it's lot 585.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't have a street address at this point.
Yeah, I can't question it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
So you might want to change the wording to include
Lot
two-unit dwelling on lot 585 Penwell Avenue.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not
If that's
comfortable
what it
doing
is.
that until we confirm that.
Yeah, I'm just checking there now. It
Because
is
that could make something,
lot 585.
it is lot 585. Okay, so I'd like to make, I guess there's two amendments. One would be a 2-unit building the second one at lot 585 Penwell Avenue.
So with the approval of the seconder was
I don't even know who seconded it now.
Councillor Pollitt. So we're good? Okay, so that motion as amended. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried.
Next item was commercial land application for 100 Dickens Street. I'm gonna ask you to leave.
I will be
And
contractor
Brad, are
on
you
this
in a
company.
conflict as well?
I just want to say that this was my spouse potentially would work at this location, so I don't have a pecuniary interest in an ownership stake or anything other than my wife may end up working at that facility.
So you can leave, and
Or renting space.
Or renting
Yeah.
space on it. That's what happens in small towns.
oh, yeah.
Oh, it's unavoidable.
I'm just impressed that you or I haven't been removed yet. Anyways, the item of business again was commercial land application for 100 Dickens Street. The committee reviewed a commercial land application for the purchase of approximately 1 acre service lot located at 100 Dickens Street. The applicant intends to construct a 6,400 square foot building to accommodate an aesthetics and therapy clinic, which will also include gymnasium space. The property is zoned commercial general, phase 1, and the proposed use is classified as an allowable use under the Town of Gander's development regulations. The service lot is offered at a cost of $150,000 per acre plus HST as per policy GL 003. The committee supports the proposed development as it aligns with permitted zoning and contributes to commercial growth within the area. Therefore, the committee recommends, and I move, that the Town of Gander approve the sale of approximately 1 acre service lot located at 100 Dickens Street at a cost of $150,000 per acre plus HST in accordance with policy GL 003, subject to all conditions outlined within the permit.
Moved by Councillor Woodford and seconded by Councillor Hancock that the Town of Gander approve the sale of an approximately 1 acre service lot located at 100 Dickens Street at a cost of $150,000 per acre plus HST in accordance with policy GL 003, subject to all conditions outlined in the permit. And I would note, because I don't think at the beginning there, Councillor Woodford, you read in the stuff in italics that referenced Councillor White and CAO left the meeting before that discussion.
No, I did not.
So that, just to be clear, that Councillor White, who are no, and the CAO, who are no longer
They left the committee
here now,
meeting as
they left
well.
the committee meeting as well, right?
They did.
So that's the motion. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Carried. And I think we can
We can
welcome
let them back in now.
Councillor White and CAO back in.
And Mr. Mayor, being no further business to discuss under strategy, growth, and investments, I turn the meeting back to you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Woodford. Our next section is community well-being and outreach. Councillor Pollitt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First on the agenda was Spinning Wheel Cycling Tour request for sponsorship. The committee reviewed a request for support of the Spinning Wheel Cycling Tour for Parkinson's awareness, scheduled to launch its East Coast portion August 1st to the 3rd. The event promotes wellness, inclusion, and community engagement. The committee expressed support and recommends a $100 sponsorship contribution along with the mayor's attendance at the local launch event. So, Mr. Mayor, as you are well aware, this event took place prior to the first inaugural Run From Away, which was a huge success. It was started really early. Yes, yep.
Really early for some.
But I was
Yeah.
there.
Organizers expected maybe 50 or 60 runners, and we had 200 runners and walkers with a wait list of approximately 30 to 40.
An age gap of 78 years between the youngest
Wow.
and the oldest.
Yeah, that's
70.
incredible.
I
So,
mean, the sponsorship was specific to the spinning wheel.
For the spinning wheel
tour,
cycling.
Which was
Yeah.
sort of piggybacked on, right? And I was there at the outset of that to present that $100 contribution. Right?
So they reached out to the YQX Running Club Committee to ask if they could piggyback off that event and start prior to, and they did, and it was, it was a great success.
all about partnerships.
Yep.
You guys may have been there, but I was sweating.
Yes.
I did the 5K. Come on.
I captured it.
You captured it.
Photographic evidence.
No. And with respect to the track, no rubber was burned.
I was sore on my dad for 2 days after, but I couldn't tell anybody that.
No. Notable dates, the committee was advised of upcoming changes and scheduled events related to waste management. Garbage collection for Labor Day, Monday, September 1st, will be rescheduled to Wednesday, September 3rd. Household Hazardous Waste Day is scheduled for Saturday, September 13th from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at the Steele Community Center parking lot. Upcoming waste transfer station dates are August 9th and September 13th, with hours of operation from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Residents are encouraged to arrive early to ensure sufficient time for drop-off before closing. Residents are reminded that details of these and other notable dates and events are available on the Town of Gander website at gandercanada.com. Next up is upcoming events. The committee was provided with an overview of upcoming events scheduled in the Town of Gander between August 7th and September 3rd, 2025. Highlights include August 9th, Antique and Classic Car Show. August 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th, Gander Groco's Farmers Market. August 10th, YQX Dog Sports hosts Agility Association of Canada Trials. August 11th, I know, exciting, hey? August 11th to the 28th, Impact Hockey Summer Camp. August 13th, 20th, and 27th, Concerts in the Park. August 15th to the 17th, Provincial U11 AA Baseball Championships. August 22nd to the 24th, Provincial U11A Baseball Championships. August 22nd to the 24th, Lakers Swim Club hosts Summer Club Swimming Championships. August 30th, the U18 AAA Hockey Exhibition Game. The committee acknowledged the wide variety of community activities taking place over the summer and commended the efforts of local organizations and town staff in supporting and promoting community engagement.
Can I interrupt for just 1 second?
Indeed you can, because I need a drink.
Yes, okay, good. I'm just looking at upcoming events, and I know, you know, I'm thinking about our summer's been really busy here in our town. I'm gonna just make a little plug here. I can't wait for our tourism tax to kick in. Because I'm a numbers person. I can't wait to see how many people are going to be, once our tourism tax cuts in, see how many people are staying in our hotels, the number of people, like we know a lot of people comes in our community. I can't wait to see the numbers of actually how many people are coming in our community, they're staying, how long they're staying, and I'm sure there's statistics that say, okay, if you go and visit a community for a weekend and you're here for 3 meals, you're getting gas, you might drop over town to buy some supplies because you got a different store that's not in your hometown. Like, I really can't wait for our tourism tax to kick in with our hotels and start that being collected and have that piece of information for our arsenal of our economic drive initiatives.
I mean, you're calling it tourism tax. It's an accommodation tax. So we don't want tourists to think that you show up in town, you're gonna get taxed. Unless you're staying in a hotel.
Thank you very much for that correction.
Especially tourists.
Yeah, no accommodations tax, I'm corrected,
Yeah.
but I can't wait for the accommodation tax to come in to get these numbers.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Okay, next on the agenda was the expression of interest for event bar operations. The committee was advised that one bid was received for the expression of interest for event bar operations submitted by the Adult Ice Elite Synchronized Figure Skating Group. The proposal related to the kitchen party event and was based on a revenue sharing agreement with the town with final terms negotiated by staff. So as we all know, the kitchen party was a huge success. And I have to commend Ice Elites and their volunteer organization on the job that they did. I think everything went smashing, and there wasn't any big lineups, and I think people really enjoyed it. And for newbies into this event, I think they did outstanding.
All the comments I heard were positive.
Yeah.
So hats off to these people. Hopefully they're interested in coming back next year.
Next up is a tourism.
I tested your efficiency a couple times myself.
Did you? Yeah, I bet. Next on the agenda was the tourism strategy. As part of the 2025 budget, the town of Gander committed funds toward developing a comprehensive tourism development strategy. With additional support secured through partnerships and the federal and provincial governments, the project includes both procurement of event hosting equipment and the creation of a long-term tourism strategy aimed at strengthening Gander's position as a regional tourism hub. A request for quotes was issued for the strategy, and 2 bids were received. After review, the committee recommends awarding the contract to Bremner and Associates, whose proposal demonstrated strong regional knowledge, a community-focused engagement plan, and clear alignment with the provincial and national tourism priorities. The approved strategy will include a what we heard summary from stakeholder interviews, public sessions, and a survey, an updated tourism asset inventory and SWOT analysis, a digital snapshot of Gander's online presence with recommendations, a detailed tourism development strategy and 3-year implementation roadmap, a final strategy presentation to council, and a community launch event, a 1-year follow-up report to track progress and guide next steps. The committee recommends, and I move, that the proposal from Bremner and Associates for the development of the tourism development strategy be accepted in the amount of $49,940 plus HST.
Moved by Councillor Pollitt and seconded by Deputy Mayor Ford, that the proposal from, now there's 2 different spellings here. The one in the motion is Bremer, but I think it's Bremner, right? So we just correct that. From Bremner and Associates for the development of the tourism development strategy be accepted in the amount of $49,940 plus HST. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Carried.
Next on the agenda was public safety update. The committee reviewed statistical updates from Gander Fire Rescue and municipal enforcement. Gander Fire Rescue reported a number of calls related to unauthorized burning and fire investigations. These incidents reinforce the value of continued public education on open fire regulations, particularly during fire bans and dry weather conditions. Municipal enforcement statistics indicated that most traffic citations issued were for minor speeding infractions of 1 to 10 kilometers over the posted limit, with a reduction in high-range speeding and violations. This trend suggests improved driver awareness and compliance. The committee recognized the importance of ongoing education and enforcement initiatives to promote public safety and community well-being. Next up is the council engagement report. This has been a busy one. Engaging with the community is a key to transparent, inclusive, and collaborative local governance. Below are recent highlights of council events, community meetings, and the mayor's leadership and advocacy efforts. Recent community events attended or hosted by council include: attended the 103 Search and Rescue Change of Command, attended the 9-Wing Change of Command, participated in Canada Summer Games Torch Relay, hosted and attended Pride Week flag raising and proclamation, hosted Broadening Horizons tour of the Town Hall and a Q&A with council, welcomed and attended dinner for Rolling Barrage Ride to Combat PTSD, hosted and participated in Festival of Flight activities. The mayor's activities and leadership. As a spokesperson for council and the community, the mayor leads advocacy and strategic efforts to support community growth and priorities. Recent initiatives include: held an introductory meeting to NAV Canada CEO, accompanied the Lieutenant Governor, the Honourable Joan Marie J. Alward, to local memorial sites, participated in Tim Hortons Camp Day, met with Jim Dinn, leader of the Newfoundland Labrador New Democratic Party, during his visit to Gander to discuss local issues. And this is the end of the report, but I just want to send a shout out to town staff and volunteers for an incredible Festival of Flight. It's the 39th annual, 41 events. It was an extremely busy week, but we couldn't ask for better staff, to pull this off. And of course, lots of engagement, lots of crowds. Yeah, the Derby was one of the events, as everybody knows. We're well known for the Derby. And that was sponsored by Sideways Motorsports in aid of Boys and Girls Club, and I think a couple others. I think it was the SPCA and one other organization. Anyhow, I was there for the first time in a few years, and it was an incredible crowd. I'm not good with numbers in terms of trying to gauge how many people were there, but you try and do this and figure out how many heads are there. I'm thinking there had to be 4,000 to 5,000 people there. Like, it was incredible. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to all the sponsors for the Festival of Flight, the music, the dancing, some good, some not so good at the kitchen party, but it's all good. And thank you so much for participating and making our festival a success. And that's the end of my report.
Just for the record, I would like to say a lot of dancing also happened at the seniors' tea.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So it's not only the kitchen party.
No.
Yeah, and I think, statistically and everything, I think there will be a wrap-up report on the festival will come forward maybe next meeting. I don't want to put pressure. I know our staff are pretty exhausted from the actual events, but there will be a more formal. It's important to note it now because we're just coming right off of it, right? And but there will be a more formal report on that with some more data, perhaps hopefully at the next meeting. A couple of points with respect to that report. There was reference in the public safety update about the fire safety and that kind of thing, and we can't emphasize enough, folks, that there is, we're in a very different time these days, right? With the impacts of climate change and particularly the likelihood of wildfires and the proliferation of wildfires, where there's already approaching 200 wildfires in this province so far this season, whereas last year for the entire season was like 58 or something. So this is a real threat. And yesterday, I guess it was, the Premier announced that, or the Minister announced that there is a total fire ban in the entire province up until September 7th. And I know we'll hear from some people that are, well, it rain, maybe it'll pour rain here tomorrow, and people will say, well, that's just foolish. We can't have fires in our backyards now. If I have a backyard in the middle of the puddles in my backyard, I'm not going to start a forest fire. The reality is this is you got to look at big picture here. We've got all the resources in the province are tied up in critical fires where communities have been abandoned, or certainly not abandoned, but evacuated, and are still they're just trying to keep up with things. It's not easy, and the last thing we need, even if it's extremely low risk in a particular area in the province, from here till then, we just can't afford to have any sort of one tempting those odds, even if it's a chance in a million, because we had a lot of rain here for a day, because as we know, our environment is very dry these days. So we certainly appreciate citizens, understanding, or would appreciate citizens understanding that the province has implemented a fire ban. We support that, and we're not going to be advocating for it to be lifted in the event that we do have a couple rainy days somewhere between now and September 7th. And in that respect, and referencing the Festival of Flight, of course, most people would be aware that some people are perhaps happy, but most people were, I guess, somewhat disappointed that we found ourselves in a situation where the prudent thing to do this year was not to have the normal fireworks display at the end of our civic celebration on Monday. That was a decision that wasn't taken lightly, I guess, and we know it caused some disappointment. We know people look forward to seeing the fireworks, but speaking for all of council, it was a pretty easy decision to forego them for this year, because and it kind of neat that as we were there getting close to the end of the evening on Monday, one water bomber came and just did a very close flyover at the site at Cobb's Pond, and tipped his wings and did a little loop around the pond and then went into land. And the crew in that water bomber and the people that, you know, fix those water bombers and maintain those water bombers and the other crews, they were just concluding another full day of fighting fires elsewhere in the province, and we're getting ready then to get a little bit of rest and, you know, early the next morning to be off again. And I think, you know, it's for those people as well that we want to be, we need an abundance of caution in terms of trying to eliminate any possibility of any new fires anywhere. Some of them can't be avoided, some of them will be lightning strikes and so on. But to the extent that we can control any additional, you know, the starting of any additional fires by our activities, we need to have an abundance of caution. If that means we got to miss a boil up, or we got to miss you know, a time in the woods or a time in our backyard having a fire, so be it. We don't make any, as a town, we don't make any apologies for supporting the fire ban. And I think from the people I've spoken with, everybody seems to be pretty on board with that. So, but it is very critical, and we only have so much resources, and right now they're pushed to the limits, and one of our councillors here would be well aware of that, because in her real life she dispatches those water bombers, so she knows how her own hours and how many you know, the hours that those pilots and those ground crews are, and all the responders all through the province are working. We can't afford to have any possibility of additional fires that could have been prevented. So I think we're just going to have to adjust ourselves for the next little while, and hopefully things get under control, you know. But
Winter boil-ups it is.
Winter, certainly post September 7th. We don't know what, between now and September 7th, we might have conditions that are, you know, present an appropriate level of risk, and people can maintain some of the things we traditionally do and enjoy, but that having that curtailed for a while now, I think, is a small price to pay for considering the alternative could be, you know, potentially losses of life, certainly risk of communities, including ours, being evacuated. We've come very close in the last couple of weeks. We've had flare-ups in places very close to us that luckily were brought under control quickly. And one time, because we had bombers returning from somewhere else that were able to do a couple of drops out by Joe Bat's Pond, that prevented something much more serious happening there that could have meant a serious problem for the town of Gander within hours. So abundance of caution, I think, and I think everybody understands that, and that's just where we are.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, I mean, even closer to home than where that water bomber had to drop. And speaking of things within our control, Gander Fire Rescue, I mean, we had a fire, a small fire, break out behind the Chamber of Commerce building. That's very close. It's within the town of Gander, right? And thanks to the quick action of Gander Fire Rescue, they were able to deal with that fire, which could easily have become a raging forest fire on the other side of the highway, which easily could have jumped to this side of the highway. And I know I'm hearing it, like I'm hearing from some seniors, especially in the community, who are, you know, truly afraid of the dryness and what's happening, and have bags packed in the event that we have to evacuate quickly. So, I mean, I don't know if the fire chief would like to speak to it, but I know you've been updating council on Gander Fire Rescue's response to some fires around town, and that's really important in keeping us safe right here, right now.
Country and Trailer Park was another one. I mean, we dodged a bullet there too, thanks to the action of our fire department that, you know, just happened to be not close enough to trees or caught in time to not ignite the trees. But I think you'd share the concern around, you know, the risk and the importance of us doing what we can to mitigate it.
So I don't know if the fire chief wanted to share any thoughts on that, or any tips to homeowners or anything.
There's lots of tips online. We're going to be posting, like I said, as it says, more education. Thank you. More educational things on our websites and through social media. And just to echo what the mayor said, to be vigilant and very careful and very cautious in this time of year.
Yeah.
In these conditions.
Well, thanks for what you all do.
Thank you. And so now that is the end of the formal report, I do believe. You were at the end of the council engagement? Yes? Okay, so now we have, that's a second now, we're not quite done yet, but we're done that bit. So, we have some new business. I'm just trying to think. First of all, do we have anything else from administration? So then we'll move into the new business. We have a couple of items of new business. I'd ask if Councillor Hancock, since he started the reporting this evening, maybe he can finish it by
Finish her off.
doing the new business.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First item, RFQ 25-19. The results for the 2025 asphalt repairs are presented for approval, covering approximately 14,336 square feet across sections of Airport Boulevard, Cooper Boulevard, McGee Road, and Memorial Drive. 2 quotes were received with the lowest meeting specifications submitted by Penny Paving Limited at $111,224.32 HST included, which is $862.08 over budget. Committee recommends, and I move that, quote, RFQ 25-19 for the 2025 asphalt repairs be awarded to Penny Paving Limited in the amount of $111,224.32 HST included.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Pollitt, moved by Councillor Hancock, seconded by Councillor Pollitt, that, quote, RFQ 25-19 for the 2025 asphalt repairs be awarded to Penny Paving Limited in the amount of $111,224.32, HST included. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried.
Next item, council schedule. For the remainder of the current council cycle, staff recommended a temporary adjustment to the council meeting schedule. The proposal is to move from 4-week cycle to a 3-week cycle, with regular council meetings to be held on August the 27th and September 17th, 2025. The schedule will be reviewed again in October of 2025. Council recommends, and I move that council meeting schedule be amended from a 4-week cycle to a 3-week cycle for the remainder of the current council cycle, with a review in October 2025.
Moved by Councillor Hancock, seconded by Councillor Hoff, that the council meeting schedule be amended from a 4-week cycle to a 3-week cycle for the remainder of the current council cycle, or council term, I guess, with a review in October 2025.
Question, Mr. Mayor. And I guess it's not really for yourself, but for the CEO. I missed the meeting when this was tabled, so I'm trying to figure out why, because it was timing for staff and stuff, and
It was a combination of the next scheduled meeting was to do right in the middle of nomination period.
okay.
So by moving, so the next meeting will be before the nomination period, and it will be a public a televised meeting, and then the following meeting would be usually is not televised by tradition, it's just to do, but it's also, I think, in recognizing of all the activity around town, the need to have the meetings to make sure the business of council and the community and development and what have you isn't negatively impeded. So it was a combination of those things. And maybe it's a chance for us to kind of, look at a little different cycle for after October to think about.
No, absolutely.
The council can determine.
And that's all I was
Stick with
wondering, if
that.
maybe we should not just delay this till October, but it makes sense to do it before,
I
so.
think it's about trying to not, to avoid having loose ends and that kind of thing, and to be efficient, because as the CIO says, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts right now that, it's best that as many can be attended to as possible.
As long as the staff got time to prepare, that would have been my biggest concern, so. You seem to say.
We didn't have a vote.
We didn't have a vote. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Mayor, you can call your.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried. Now, we do have one other item that wasn't there when we started, and Councillor White, that's going to involve you having to leave again, because there was a second motion relative to the issue you're in conflict with. Yes, yeah, so, so we'll do that, and then you can come back and, when all we have left after that is adjournment, but, You can come back so we can leave.
Mr. Mayor, I can bring that one in if you like.
I think it was sent to, was it?
Before you start,
Yeah.
I'm just reading, I drafted that on the fly, and it should say to Riverstone Construction Limited,
Okay.
right?
So, Mr. Mayor, I move that the town of Gander approve the sale of 13A McCurdy Drive to Riverstone Construction totaling .0627 hectares in area. The public notice of sale was issued with no objections. The land will be sold at market value as established by independent appraisal and will be in accordance with all provisions of the Town and Local Service Districts Act.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Ford and seconded by Councillor Woodford, that the town of Gander approve the sale of 13A McCurdy Drive to Riverstone Construction, totaling .0627 hectares in area. The public notice of sale was issued with no objections. The land will be sold at market value as established by independent appraisal and will be in accordance with all provisions of the Town and Local Service Districts Act. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried. Now we can welcome Councillor White back into the room. And I think that means we have now concluded all the business for this evening. So I would entertain a motion for
Mr. Mayor, I
adjournment.
move adjournment of the meeting.
Moved by Councillor Woodford and seconded by Councillor Pollitt. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded, meeting stands adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
This is Rogers TV.